Interesting choice of plays, though.
There's Gene Barth's crew working the game today at the Kingdome. A minute 53 to play first quarter.
You know, I flew out with those guys from Chicago. 3 of those guys. Did you realize that officials, NFL officials, take a test every week? I didn't realize that. They were all working on it on the plane coming out from Chicago.
3rd and 8. Play fake, and Craig drops back into the end zone, tries to scramble his way out. Falls over some tacklers, loses the football, but Dornick is there to grab it.
Warm up Sam Adkins. Now, wait a minute, Craig. We know you're from a small school in Wisconsin, but my goodness, protect yourself a little bit.
Speaking of Wisconsin, we welcome those of you in the Madison, Wisconsin area who had been watching the Buffalo-San Diego game. Here's your man, Dave Craig. We're going to show you the rest of this Seahawks-Jets game from the Kingdome because we know those of you in the Wisconsin area, in the area of Milton College, are interested in the exploits of Dave Craig, who took a whack and lost the ball on the last play, but it was recovered by Dornick. And now Jeff West kicks out of the end zone, and Bruce Harper fields it at the 49-yard line, and down he goes. He did not call for a fair catch, although he might as well have. Ken Easley got down and wrapped him after a 42-yard punt by Jeff West. So for those of you in the Wisconsin area, we'll keep you posted on the progress of the Buffalo-San Diego game, but we'll keep you right here in Seattle for the duration of this contest.
They joined us at the wrong time. That was the negative part of Dave Craig. What he did is his first pass completion of the day was a touchdown to Sam McCullum. That's why they lead 6-0.
And the Jets with the ball from their 48-yard line. Gaffney and Bobby Jones both line up on the right side. Tight end Barkham on the left.
Jones
pumping it long, and he's behind his man, and he overthrew it. Bobby Jones was wide open, and Richard Todd just overthrew it.
You know, in that particular case, I kind of fault Richard Todd, not for overthrowing, but the way in which he threw it. If you notice the trajectory of the football, he left no margin of error for the receiver. He threw it such on a line. He's got such a strong arm that if he'd thrown this ball up a little bit, and I think Jones would have been able to kind of run under it. But that is about a 50-yard pass, almost on a line, and Jones had no chance to adjust to it.
And as you could see, he was a couple of strides in front of Kerry Justin. Joe Klecko on the sideline.
World's largest cherub.
And a large part of the New York sack exchange. Back to the air on 2nd and 10. Good protection. Incomplete, intended for Johnny Lamb Jones.
Well, the Jets look somewhat disorganized here. Not really coming up with anything that has been consistently good for them in this first quarter. Trailing 6-0.
Richard Todd coming into today's game 4th in the AFC pass ratings, behind Anderson of Cincinnati, who has had a tough day against San Francisco, Morton of Denver, and Fouts of San Diego. Todd for the season, 58% completions, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, hasn't had one picked off in 5 games. 3rd and 10, in trouble. Scrambles out of it, throws on the run. Catch is made by Bruce Harper, and as you can see, he's a couple yards short of the stick, but there's going to be a Seahawk penalty. They got him up around the face mask, and that's going to cost them 5 yards and give the Jets the first down.
Excellent.
I'm assuming 5 because I think it was inadvertent.
Excellent observation, too. And you're right, it was inadvertent. But the Seahawks are getting good pressure on Todd. See him run up there. Lamb Jones was open down the middle, but didn't want to take the chance. Here you'll watch. 53 Butler just around the face mask. They add on 5 yards. Automatic first down for the New York Jets.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask, 53 defense, first down.
Good call. People in the Superdome, or the Kingdome here, there's so many domes, I forget where we are. The Kingdome are a little upset, but that was an excellent call.
Let's go through them. King, Super, Astro, and Silver.
Oh, you left out one, Carrier.
Well, I figured they weren't in the NFL yet. Did Syracuse get an expansion franchise?
No, they didn't. Not this weekend.
We'll talk about that when we go up there for hoops later in the year. From the 39, the play fake and a deep drop by Todd. Swings it out to McNeil, a convoy of blockers in front of him, and he turns it into a 7-yard gain to the 32 before middle linebacker Terry Beeson stops him.
Good job by the Jets offensive line. This is a real slow screen. An awful lot of time spent out there. You see Newton 44 coming out to try to clear out. There's Alexander out in front. And once again, McNeil using the instincts as a running back. Good, powerful legs. Jackson and Beeson on the tackle. Second down and about 3.
And this might be the last play of the first quarter, which has less than 10 seconds remaining in it. The Jones boys to the left. Motion along the line. Flags are down. So is Freeman McNeil. That stops the clock with 1 second to play in the quarter.
False start, 79 offense.
Marvin Powell has cost them 5 yards.
Once again, Bob, I wonder if that is just a lack of concentration. Look at the right of your screen. Marvin Powell. It wasn't
False start,
79.
number 79. Replay the down.
It wasn't Marvin Powell. It was 60 Alexander.
Although Gene Barth labeled Powell as the guilty party.
Shame on him. That's why they shouldn't call the numbers of the guilty parties.
Second and 8 at the 37.
You really feel strongly about
Yes,
that,
I
right?
do. Yes, I do.
On the other hand, it's informative for not only the fans at home, but those in the ballpark who don't have the opportunity to see a replay. I kind of like it. Last play of the quarter. Incomplete. They'll face 3rd and 8 when we start period number 2.
How about this? Let's compromise on this situation. You can call the guy's name when he gives a penalty, but I want the officials to call the guy's name when he makes a great block. You don't see that either.
That's what we're supposed to do. We'll take care of that as announcers.
But we can't cover them all.
We'll come back with the start of the second quarter in just a minute. The Seahawks on the Dave Krieg to Sam McCullum pass lead 6-0.
This is Bryant Gumbel in New York. Out in San Diego, the Bills have drawn even with the Chargers. Following a Mario Clark interception, Joe Ferguson rolls in from 3 yards out. They're deadlocked at 7 in the first period. Let's go back to Bob and Bob in the Kingdome.
Thanks, Bryant. First quarter total offense, 76 yards for the Jets, only 28 for the Seahawks, but the fumbled punt by Chuck Ramsey allowed the Seahawks to take over just outside the Jet 10 for their first possession. They cashed that in for the only touchdown. Wilson Alvarez missed the point after. 3rd and 8 from the 37-yard line of the Seahawks.
Easley's offsides. Now he put a foot back.
The Seahawks show blitz. They blitz. Todd gets rid of it, and Lamb Jones can't hold it as he was drilled by John Harris. So Todd read it and went with the quick pass over the middle, but Harris made the good defensive play.
Very interesting. Ken Easley comes up in the line, and I'm sure Richard Todd thought that it was a fake, even though there was a hot receiver. Jones couldn't quite hang on to the ball. He's got to be looking now. He's got to realize what's going on in there. Thrown somewhat behind him, but nevertheless, lots of pressure by Ken Easley. Watch 45 come through that line of scrimmage like a projectile. Good job getting it off.
Ramsey to kick again, and to be fair about that play in the first quarter, he could have handled the snap, but it was rather high, so the blame has to be distributed between the center and the kicker.
30-second clock runs out. I'll move it back 5 yards.
They took that intentionally, obviously, to give him more room to work with as he aims for the coffin corner. Gene Barth will make it official.
Delay of game, 5-yard penalty offense. Still 4th down.
So far, the Jets have not played but like an 8-4-1 football team. A team that has won 5 straight, 8-1-1 over the last 10 games. Not played well at all.
Miami a winner over New England today. Temporarily a half-game lead over the Jets in the AFC East.
Flag immediately on the play.
Ball out of bounds in the air, and so they're going to mark it at the 15. And let's see what the penalty is going to be.
It was thrown immediately.
Just a 27-yard punt by Ramsey if it stands.
The formation was legal, no penalty.
Flag was thrown incorrectly, and it's Seahawk ball at their 15-yard line. 14 minutes and 51 seconds to play in the first half. And the score remains what it has been for quite a while. The Seahawks 6, the Jets nothing.
The Fiesta Bowl. Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Allen battles Joe Paterno's Penn State defense, followed by the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. Plus a primetime battle for the national championship as undefeated #1 Clemson University goes for its first title ever, New Year's Day.
Joe Walton, Richard Todd trying to get this offense of the New York Jets untracked. Joe Walton is the guy who was in charge of the offense. The offensive linemen are sitting there on the bench kind of wondering what's happening. But to repeat, the New York Jets have never beaten the Seattle Seahawks for whatever reason. And the last time the Jets lost in this season was to the New York Jets 19-3 in Shea Stadium.
From the 15-yard line of the Seahawks, Dave Krieg barks the signals. In place of Jim Zorn, who's out for the year, broken ankle a week ago against the Raiders. Deep drop, falls down and gets rid of it, incomplete to Theodis Brown. Here's the field position situation throughout the game for the Seahawks. They took over at the 12-yard line of the Jets after the botched snap from center on the punt. Took it in 3 plays for the touchdown. They got the ball at their own 28, 3 plays and a punt. Got it at their own 4, 3 plays and a punt. Now have it at their own 15, 2nd and 10.
That's Klecko pushing Ron Essink right into the foot of Dave Krieg, and that's what knocks him down. So far, though, the Seahawks have done an excellent job of staying out of that New York sack exchange situation where it's 3rd down and long yardage situation, and the defensive linemen just pin their ears back.
They pitch it back to Theodis Brown, and Brown for about 4 yards to the 19-yard line. Klecko makes the tackle, number 73. 3rd and 6, and now Gastineau, Klecko, and the rest can really tee off.
Normally in a situation like this, too, with a defensive line like the Jets have, they're the ones who control the emotion, the attitude of the football team. If they can right now start to really take hold of the line of scrimmage defensively, they're going to have a great effect on the outcome of this football game. 54
sacks for the season for New York. 9 better than the 2nd best total in the league, which belongs to Oakland with 45.
The NFL record is 67, held by the Oakland Raiders in 1960.
Theodis Brown is drilled on the play by Greg Buttle. And Jeff West again will have to punt from deep in his own territory. Of course, the thing to point out is that that figure of 67 for the Raiders was established in a 14-game season, and this is the Jets' 14th game of this year.
Now it appears, too, that the Jets are beginning to take over defensively. And that's exactly what a good team will have happen. This is the best part of their football team, that defense, and they've got to dominate the line of scrimmage, and they're not doing it.
Bruce Harper. They fake it. West throws, intended for easily incomplete. What a time for a fake from deep in their own territory, from their own 12-yard line.
Jack Patera is the guy who comes up with those ideas, and the people in the Kingdom are not happy, but when it works, they're overjoyed. This is just slightly overthrown, easily, even though he's covered. No, Jones has no idea the ball is thrown. And the Seahawks have just done the Jets a gigantic favor. It may swing old Mo to the Jet side of the ball.
A totally inexplicable move by the Seahawks. From the 12-yard line of Seattle, Freeman McNeil to the 9. Keith Butler made the tackle, and there's a flag down.
I think they got somebody with a face mask.
A week ago, no, it's a holding against the Jets. A week ago against the Raiders, West hit Eric Lane for 59 yards off a fake punt, but they called them for the old sleeper play, saying that Lane had snuck in off the sidelines, hadn't reported, hadn't come set, and they negated that game.
83 offense, holding, still 1st down.
Jerome Barkham on the hold. There is a Jet on the turf.
Freeman McNeil. McNeil is down and hurt, and the Jet trainers are tending to him. It's going to be 1st and 20 from the 22-yard line. 13:20 to play, 2nd quarter rather. Seahawks lead it.
This is Bryant Gumbel in New York. Out in Denver, the Chiefs and Broncos, a pair of co-leaders in the AFC West, are going at it, and so far it's been all Denver. They are driving in the 2nd period and already leading 10-0. Let's go back to the Kingdom. Bob Costas, Bob Trumpy.
Okay, Bryant, and Freeman McNeil goes off under his own power, hobbling a bit.
I wonder if that's the same sprained foot that kept him out of 5 weeks of action for the New York Jets. That would certainly be a devastating loss to the Jets. They need all their weapons today. They cannot take the Seattle football team lightly.
The Jets presented with a golden opportunity after a fake punt backfired on the Seahawks. The catch is made by Durking, and Durking is down to the 12-yard line for a gain of 10. So they got back to the original line of scrimmage, and it will be 2nd and 10. Brown and Beeson combining on the tackle. Watch it again.
Seahawk linebackers are dropping very, very deep. There's nobody within 5 yards of Durking on this play. Todd is looking to throw the ball deep. but takes the underneath pattern by Durkee. And now 2nd and 10 yards.
Bobby Jones wide to the left. Derek Gaffney is wide to the right. Todd looking behind good protection. Zips it over the middle. Durkee makes the catch, and we've got a tie game.
11 yards on the pass and catch for a touchdown by Durkee. Good job, too, by the New York Jets realizing what Seattle was doing in that situation. And it was they had a blitz on, but they had linebacker deep in coverage, linebacker covering, running back out of the backfield. And that's what's supposed to happen. Linebackers aren't supposed to be able to cover running backs.
For Durkee, the veteran from Purdue, his first touchdown of the year. For Todd, his 20th touchdown pass, which extends his personal season high. Leahy misses his first point after touchdown of the year.
Slipped down.
And so Alvarez's miss earlier is balanced by Leahy's miss. He had not missed an extra point in almost 2 seasons. He had some block, but this one is his fault, and the game is tied at half a dozen.
They're the hottest club in the AFC with a league-leading defensive line better known as the New York Sack Exchange. The Jets are smoking, but can the Cleveland Browns burst their bubble? Next Saturday, an NFL special. The Jets battle the Browns on NBC Sports.
And that telecast, beginning with Bryant Gumbel and the pregame show, starts at noon Eastern Time, Saturday on NBC.
Watch Pat Leahy on this extra point. He appears to turn his ankle ever so slightly. His left foot, and he hits on the outside, not on the cleats, on his left foot. Watch it as it plants. Kind of back on his heel, and that's why he slips.
He had been 30 of 30 in that department this year prior to that miss. Horace Ivory gets back to about the 25-yard line on the return. 14-11 to play in the first half. We're tied at 6.
Bob, you can see Leahy's shoes. Normally they wear, place kickers, sidewinders especially, wear 2 different kinds of shoes. And the one they wear out quickest is the one they kick on. They kick the ball with, and that wears out the front cleat. The other shoe normally lasts an entire season. Rather unusual.
You mentioned that it looked like he might have twisted his ankle on the missed PAT. For what it's worth, that was a rather short kickoff. Last week against Baltimore, he put 5 of 7 into the end zone. Dave Krieg to the air on first down, has good protection, has a receiver. Steve Largent makes the catch. Largent to the 45-yard line for a gain of 20.
That's now 66 straight games in which Steve Largent has caught a pass, and he is just 97 yards. Make that 77 yards from his 4th straight 1,000-yard season for the Seattle Seahawks.
And his 60th reception of the 1981 campaign. Watch him run his route.
Exceptional receiver, very, very precise pattern runner, and good concentration on the football.
13.5 minutes to play, second quarter. Handoff to Theodis Brown, and a yard at most. 2nd and 9 coming up. Abdul Salam was there. Blinka also plugged the middle. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended solely for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Seattle Seahawks and the NFL is prohibited. Second and 9 from the Seahawk 46. McCullum to the left and Largent to the right. Dornick and Brown are the running backs. Fake the give to Theodis. Krieg unloads just before he's to be hit, and it's complete to the tight end, John Sawyer. Sawyer with a first down in Jet territory at about the 37-yard line, and Krieg really did a nice job of delivering on target under very heavy pressure.
Greg Buttle, 51 on the pressure. He's almost going down. He obviously has an excellent, excellent arm. 17 yards on the catch. John Sawyer's first reception. And boy, that's a big play. And as a coach, you're looking for that out of your players. And this young kid out of, what's the name of the college again?
You'll never get this straight, will you? Milton College.
Thank you very much.
Milton College in Wisconsin.
All 350 of them watching up there in Madison today.
Only 243 of those enrolled are boys. So not much to choose from when they field a football team. Theodis Brown carries a pickup of about 5. 2nd and 5 coming up. But first, let's check with Bryant in New York.
Okay, thank you, Bob. In Denver, the Broncos have scored again. This time, Larry Canada doing the honors from 2 yards out. And in a matchup of co-leaders in the AFC West, it's all Denver, 16-love in the second. Bob?
Thanks, Brian. And those Broncos are an entirely different ball club when they get you in Mile High Stadium as opposed to on the road. Let's give Theodis Brown a gain of 6 on the last play, bringing up 2nd down and 4 with 11:25 to play in the half. We've had a TD by each team and a pair of missed extra points. We're tied at 6. Absolutely nothing for Theodis Brown. Maybe a loss of 1 as Joe Klecko slams him down.
That's one of the interesting things about these two defensive ends of the New York Jets, Gastineau and Klecko. Even though they lead the league collectively in sacks, they are still great defensive players when it comes to the run, too, which is rather unusual.
The word from the sideline on Freeman McNeil. It is a re-injury of the same sprained foot, which had kept him out for several games at midseason. Not as serious as before. They're going to try and warm him up on the sidelines before determining whether he can come back. Still limping as you look at him. Paul Johns comes in as the 3rd wide receiver. McCullum, Largent, and Johns in now. 3rd and a long 4. Craig completes it to Largent, who bounces off tacklers and struggles, I believe, with enough yardage for the 1st down. They got it.
Bob, you know, it's amazing. The Seattle Seahawks are keeping 2 running backs in to help their offensive linemen in pass protection on the New York Sack Exchange. And still with just 3 receivers going out, 2 wide receivers and a tight end, they're able to get open. Lots of motion by Largent and the Seahawks into the line of scrimmage. Watch these running backs. You see 33 Dorning sitting there to help out. Pass block as best he can. Largent's wide open.
Dave Craig with a 1st down handoff to Theodis Brown. They get only about a yard. Craig was not a draft choice of the Seahawks. He was signed as a free agent after the draft a couple of years ago.
His rise to fame here in Seattle, what is parallel to Jim Zorn. And that Jim Zorn was from Cal Poly. That is certainly not a football factory. Neither is
Milton College.
Milton College
in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
You got it. The Seahawks have had one other player, oddly enough, from tiny Milton College on their roster. His name was Dave Crayveld, and unfortunately for him, he was the 12th man on the field in that famous overtime game against Denver a couple of years ago. The pass complete with a flag down. McCullum, who caught the touchdown pass earlier, makes this reception. But let's see what the officials will decide. Got a clip.
Personal foul. I wonder what that is. Maybe a head slap or something. No, I can't imagine what that would be against the offense. We'll find out. Mr. Barth will tell us, will he not? 15 yards. It's a real no-no.
Personal foul, illegal kicking, a leg whip, number 78.
They call Bob Newton, the 11-year veteran out of Nebraska, on the leg whip, which is the Conrad Dobler specialty.
Not a penalty that is called very often, but one of the most often used little tricks of the trade in the offensive line.
So it brings up 2nd and 24 from the 39-yard line of the Jets. Craig with protection. And with an interception.
And I'll tell you what, I thought Lance Mel popped his knee.
Mel is okay, and he's got the INT. For Lance Mel, his 2nd interception of the season.
Goodness gracious, I thought for sure he hurt himself badly. Watch when he catches this ball out. Look at that. Boy, oh boy, he's going to have a sore foot or a sore ankle or something. But nevertheless, the interception. The New York Jets take over on their own 26-yard line.
This is Brian Gumble in New York. In San Diego, the Chargers have gone ahead of the Bills on Dan Fouts' 30th touchdown pass of the year. That tops the NFL. This one's 17 yards to Wes Chandler. It's 14-7 Chargers. Let's go back to the Kingdom.
Well, Trump, I guess you were right. Mel came off the field pretty quickly, but now they're looking at his foot.
Well, I just his own weight probably sprained his ankle. On this AstroTurf, things like that happen. Your foot just gets stuck. It doesn't slip out from underneath. And they certainly need him.
Now the turnovers in the ball game are even at 1 apiece. Todd lobs one out of the backfield on first down to Scott Durking, who caught the touchdown pass earlier. And Durking has just about 10 yards. It's very close to a first down, and it is a New York first down. Let's pause briefly for station identification on the NBC television network.
This is KING-TV, Channel 5, Seattle.
You know, Bob, so far in this football game, the only receiver for the New York Jets that is not a running back to catch pass is Jones. All the rest of the receptions have been caught by running backs. Seattle doing a good job.
Kevin Long with his first carry of the day. And a flag goes down on this play.
A late flag.
Stops the clock with 8:11 to play second quarter. We'll go against the Jets.
It's things like that that make a coach grow gray hair. And it's things like that normally that are players trying to get by. They're not really full of emotion for the football game, and they try to do it the easy way as opposed to doing the fundamental right way. And it normally is a team that's playing under pressure.
Gene Barth now front and center.
The foul call was an illegal crackback. However, the crackback rule only applies to 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. This occurred 7 yards beyond. Therefore, it was no foul.
Now, Trump,
thank you very much.
If you were to take the microphones away from the officials, you'd be without that lucid explanation.
I'm all for that explanation, but you don't need to use the number. Bob, I just noticed Freeman McNeil went to the locker room, the Jets locker room, obviously, to have his foot x-rayed. He made no mention of any number. I mean, I'll take the explanation. Just don't hang it on somebody.
All right. Second down 4. From the 43-yard line, and the Kingdome fans expressed their displeasure with Gene Barth's decision. This has been an effective little pattern for the Jets. Bruce Harper breaks tackles and gets into Seahawk territory. That'll be another New York first down.
There's Freeman McNeil standing in the tunnel at the end of the Kingdome. I imagine he's heading towards the x-ray room. All facilities now in the NFL must have that x-ray somewhere there close. He's shaking his head. I believe he knows how badly he's hurt.
And he's got to be dejected. He had just begun to rev it up again after missing several games with the injury. This could have been a wonderful rookie season for him. Instead, it's just been flashes of the kind of promise the Jets saw in him when they drafted him number 3. He's never really been able to get it going consistently. Look at this, a gaping hole. Kevin Long busts through it, breaks tackles inside the 25-yard line. And a flag down.
Another flag. This is an excellent job up front. See Rasmussen, you see Ward, you see the center, Joe Fields. Oh, a face mask by the offensive ball carrier. Long with the hand on the face mask, and they're going to...
Face mask on the attempted straight arm.
Yeah. I wonder if they mark that from the spot of... Yeah. Okay. So apparently it'll still be a first down. It's at the end of the play.
Face mask foul, 5-yard penalty against the runner. It's still a first down.
Yeah, interesting call.
Gene Barth getting plenty of that television exposure today.
You can see there, Long has his hand on Harris's face mask. Good call by the official, but I think the New York Jets will concede that penalty. They get a first down.
It cost them 5 from the point of the infraction, and at that point Long had already picked up big yardage. The ball at the 34 of the Seahawks. Game tied at 6. Todd, all kinds of time. Fires into a car, intercepted. John Harris picked it off. His 9th interception of the season. He leads the American Football Conference in that department, and that's the first pass that Richard Todd has had picked off in more than 130 throws, and the last team to victimize him was the same Seahawks.
And Bob, that ball should not have been thrown. Lamb Jones, I believe, no, it's Gaffney is the primary receiver, along with Jones out on the outside. You'll see everybody there. Is see everybody there. There's no way that ball should have been thrown.
7 minutes and 14 seconds to play. Second quarter. We're still tied at 6 apiece.
They're the hottest club in the AFC with a league-leading defensive line better known as the New York Sack Exchange. The Jets are smoking, but can the Cleveland Browns burst their bubble? Next Saturday, an NFL special. The Jets battle the Browns on NBC Sports.
And it seems no matter how hot or cold the Jets are, the Seahawks spell big trouble for them. The game against the Browns, 12 noon Eastern time on NBC next Saturday. The last time Richard Todd was intercepted, it was John Harris who picked it off at Shea Stadium. This time his long string, 142 attempts without an interception, is snapped as Harris picks off his 9th of the year. Theodis Brown on first down. Mark Gastineau makes the tackle.
And Greg Buttle went down with a slight ankle sprain. Seems to be up and all right, but Buttle did an excellent job in stringing that play out and allowing the pursuit to catch up to it.
By the way, Lance Mell, who was shaken up after his interception, is in the lineup now as the Jets defense comes back on the field.
Number 56, you see 33 Dornick try to make a block here on Buttle. He's the one that strings it out. And then Blinka, Gastineau, everyone is there exactly the way defensive coaches draw it up.
It's no gain, and 2nd and 10 from the 27-yard line. Dave Krieg to the air. Good completion to Largent, who breaks away from a couple of tacklers and is still on his feet down to the 25-yard line before Jesse Johnson runs him down. Largent, who has been a thorn in the Jets' side, he caught 6 passes against them at Shea Stadium, 1 for a touchdown. Also ran for a touchdown in that win in New York earlier this year. This one is good for 48 yards.
At the bottom of the screen, you saw 28, Darrell Ray. He's the free safety. It's his job to stand back there, read the eyes of the quarterback, and go to where the ball is thrown. What he tried to do is take a good hit on Largent's chin instead of making a good, clean tackle. He wasn't even looking at Largent. He was looking at the ball, trying to possibly make the interception. That's on Darrell Ray all the way.
From the Jet 25-yard line with 5:39 to play in the quarter, they pitch it back to Theodis Brown. Theodis is able to turn the corner and pick up some decent yardage before Lance Mell forces him out along with help from Darrell Ray. Gain of 4.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the Seattle Seahawks is they kind of lull you to sleep. They don't do much. Then all of a sudden, bam, a big play. They've always been a big play team with Zorn and Largent, now Krieg and Largent. And did you notice, too, the delivery of Krieg? He kind of throws it sidearm. He doesn't really throw it up by his ear, one of those classic passers like Richard Todd. He kind of wings it from the side.
And it seems, in all fairness, that he doesn't really zip it. You have a perplexed look on your face.
Yes, I tend to disagree with you. I think he throws great ability to throw the ball in the right because he rolled to his left and threw back to his right, and it was right on the money.
Here's the pitch to Theodis Brown again. Brown with a nice move. Brown may take it all the way. He does. Touchdown for Theodis Brown, and under the direction of Dave Krieg, the Seahawks lead the Jets 12-6.
He made that look easy, too. That's a great job by the offensive line of the Seattle Seahawks. Ken Schroyer was complaining that he was clipped or whatever by 86 Tice. They didn't call it. He's into the end zone, 21 yards, and now Walt Michaels is worried. His team is not playing well, not playing with emotion, and the Seahawks are running up and down the field on it.
Alvarez on a very low kick manages to get it over the crossbar by about a ½ inch, and we finally have a successful point after touchdown after misses earlier by Alvarez and Leahy. The touchdown run by Theodis Brown was his 5th scoring run of the season.
And this team is so much built around a good running back. They had Sherman Smith, who got injured. You see a good sweep by the Seattle Seahawks. And Tice, number 86, you'll see right here at the end of the play. It's the last block to break Theodis Brown. Excellent runner. Was kind of hidden at Seattle or at St. Louis behind Otis Anderson. Comes here and has had a profound effect on his football team.
As a matter of fact, since the arrival of Theodis Brown, the Seahawks' average rushing yardage per game has almost doubled. And before his injury, Jim Zorn's attempts at passing per game had gone down significantly because they were relying more on Brown in the ground game, and his completion percentage rose accordingly. Miami beat New England earlier today, and there's Jim Zorn relaxing with the broken ankle.
Yeah, the first start that Theodos Brown had for the Seahawks was against the New York Jets, and in that game, the Seahawks had 217 yards rushing.
Harper takes Alvarez's kick at the 5 to the 20 and about the 25-yard line before he's wrapped up. As you saw by the standings on the screen, Miami's win over New England gives them temporarily a half-game lead on the Jets. The Jets have to win today to keep pace, and if it winds up in a tie, that's good enough for the Jets, because in 2 meetings with Miami this year, they beat them once by a point, and they tied them at Miami, so they have the tiebreaker edge. Ball is spotted at the 24 with 5:15 to play in the second quarter. The handoff is to Kevin Long, and Long bangs out for 6 yards to the 30-yard line. You know, we saw Jim Zorn a moment ago with his ankle in a cast. I thought it was rather humorous reading the Seahawk newspaper. They put out their own publication here, as several teams do around the league. And I saw an ad which encouraged Seahawk fans to sign up to go on a ski trip with Jim Zorn to Innsbruck, Austria in January. I doubt that he'll be on skis anywhere, let alone Innsbruck, in a month.
If he shows up on skis, Jack Patera will probably burn him at the stake.
Kevin Long can't get outside and is drilled for a loss.
Easily there to make the tackle, make sure that Mr. Long didn't get up off the field of play. And I would imagine that at halftime, Mr. Michaels is going to get out a club or a whip. This New York Jet defense has not played well. They don't have a sack yet today. Seahawks have just gone up and down the field on them offensively.
It's a loss of 1, bringing up 3rd and 5 at the 29. Walt Michaels, they had him fired after 3 games in New York. Now they're talking about Coach of the Year possibilities. But he still hasn't figured out how to beat the Seahawks. The Jets have never done that. 0-5 against them. Need 5 yards to keep the ball. They have it as Harper makes the catch.
Great catch.
If you check the stats on Harper, you'll find that a huge percentage of his carries and his receptions result in Jet first downs. He is a money ball player.
He is 2nd in rushing, 2nd in receiving, 1st in punt returns, 1st in kickoff returns, and 4th in scoring for the Jets. Now, I would say that would be not an amazing statistic on a team that's 4-12, but for a team that's 8-4-1, I think that's a very impressive statistic.
Well, with his ability as a punt and kick return man, for 3 consecutive years, he led the league in combined offense. This is Kevin Long on the first down carry. Stopped by Michael Jackson, number 55. Jackson, the Seahawk linebacker, is the guy who in his senior year at Washington intercepted that Michigan pass near the goal line late in the game to wrap up a surprise Rose Bowl victory for Washington.
You see a Long trip off the foot of Dan Alexander, or I think he'd gone for about another 10 or 15 yards. But when things aren't going your way, things like that seem to happen an awful lot. And today, things aren't going the Jets' way as yet.
Down to 2:45 to play in the half. And Long carries again. Well, the Seahawks were plugging that gap so quickly that Todd was barely able to complete the handoff.
Keith Butler on a well-timed blitz got there just as the ball got to Kevin Long. Very, very lucky the New York Jets did not fumble it. Excellent timing by Mr. Butler. And you know, the Seahawks are going nowhere. They're letting it all hang out. The Jets have got to play pretty close to the vest, not take too many chances, because they're in the run for the roses here in the AFC East.
Long got 4 yards, giving him 7 carries for 36 on the day thus far. It got them a first down at their 49-yard line. They may not get this snap off before the 2-minute warning. They do, just barely. Todd with good protection and with Durking as a receiver, and Durking is wrestled down in Seahawk territory by Keith Butler after a gain of 4. 2-minute warning now. Actually, we have 1 minute and 56 seconds to play in the half, and the Jets are down by a touchdown. We'll return to the Kingdome in Seattle right after this.
This is Manu Tuiasosopo reminding you that thanks to you, it works for all of us the United way.
And the preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by Manu Tuiasosopo and the National Football League. Tuiasosopo, big day a week ago against the Raiders. 2 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries. We haven't mentioned his name too frequently in this first half here against the Jets.
Going against Chris Ward, I would expect that he made the move from defensive tackle to defensive end. It seems really to have solidified that Seattle Seahawk defensive line.
Johnny Lamb-Jones sets up briefly in the backfield, then goes in a slot to the left. 2nd down and a long 4, maybe a short 5. Long pass downfield and incomplete, intended for Barkham, who again was behind the defender. So that's the 2nd time in this first half that Todd has overthrown a wide open receiver on what could have been a touchdown play.
And this is the first week in 3 weeks too that he's been able to practice all week with that cracked rib. But that's the toughest pass to complete that there is in the game today, Bob, and that is throwing. Barkham is coming from the tight set over there and going straight down the field. You really don't have a good feeling of depth perception on this pass, so it's more touch than anything else. Just ever so slightly overthrown. 26 carry Justin on the coverage. Now 3rd down and 5.
With 1:50 to play in the half. The Seahawks 13 and the Jets 6. Todd to Durking, very close to the first down, and it is a New York first down at the 40-yard line.
Excellent call by Joe Walton. You've noticed in the first half all they've done is swing that running back inside. That particular case, Durking went out, fake like he was going inside, went to the outside, picked up the first down.
Both teams have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. 1:46 left in the half, and the Jets down by a TD.
The Jet wide receivers still have only caught 2 passes, and that's by Lamb-Jones. Both of them for 18 yards. The biggest majority of passes going to the running back. Seahawks obviously doing a good job in coverage down the field.
In the last 10 weeks, only 1 team has beaten the Jets, and they're on the field with that team right now, the Seahawks. Barkham makes the catch and is drilled out of bounds inside the 30-yard line.
13 yards on the catch, and he's old reliable. Of his catches so far this year, which have not been many, he's had 33 catches, 7 of them for touchdowns. He's the big play man for the New York Jets. You say bumped out of bounds? You see he's got Butler in man coverage on him. Linebacker coverage on the tight end. Just releases across the field. Well thrown by Todd. Tough catch, hangs on, gets the first down, and gets out of bounds. 1:41 left.
The ball at the 27 of Seattle. Over the head of Durking and incomplete, and a flag goes down. Dave Brown hit Durking. Boy, that is a borderline call.
I can tell you why they did it, although in Dave Brown's defense, I'm not sure it's a good call. That ball was way overthrown. You can see there. I don't think that's a good call. I think the official is wrong in that situation. Dave Brown could not watch the receiver and the ball.
Kenny Easley is over there arguing his case, but they pace it off against the Seahawks.
That's the first break the Jets have had today, and I think it's a questionable call against the Seahawks.
Here's Gene Barth to explain.
Personal foul, late hit, number 22 defense, first down.
A late hit by a microsecond.
Ball by him. Dave Brown is not looking at the ball. He doesn't know if Kevin Long has caught it, or excuse me, Scott Durkin has caught it or not. I disagree with that call.
Jets get a first down at the 13-yard line. They give the ball to Tom Newton. And Newton down inside the 10, and the Jets elect to use a timeout, the first one that they have used. 1:29 to play in the half, so plenty of time for the Jets to take it in here for the tying score. They trail it 13-6. Joe Walton now talking it over with Richard Todd. And NBC Sports has the best of college football on New Year's Day. For the first time ever, 3 bowl games presented back-to-back. First, the Trojans of Southern Cal, led by Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Allen, take on the Penn State Nittany Lions in the Fiesta Bowl. Then the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. Why do they always call that the granddaddy of them all? It is, but that's the only term you ever hear applied to the Rose Bowl. The granddaddy of them all. Okay, we'll stick with it. Iowa Hawkeyes against the Washington Huskies. And finally, undefeated and #1 ranked Clemson battles for the national championship with Nebraska in the primetime pageantry of the Orange Bowl, all New Year's Day and night on NBC Sports. And you'll be at the Orange Bowl, won't you, Trump?
I will, with Clemson in Nebraska. Danny Ford and the Outland Trophy winner from Nebraska, Mr. Remington, who is a junior, and I believe is something like 6'5½" or 6'6", 283 pounds. Always fun down there. Talk to those kids on the sideline.
The ball is spotted just inside the 10-yard line. Second down and a long 6 upcoming.
You've got to think high percentage completion here. You can't take chances. This would certainly do a lot both for the ego of the New York Jets if they can get on the board here just before this first half ends.
Well, they have 2 timeouts left, so they can keep the ball on the ground if they want to. Todd will throw for it instead and gets rid of it. Incomplete. Third down coming up.
I have a feeling if Freeman McNeil were now in the ball game, I'd look for a screen. Maybe even a tight end screen to Jerome Barkham, 83, or just a simple pattern by Jerome Barkham. Over the years, he's been one of the real clutch receivers for this football team.
McNeil re-injured that sprained foot, which had hampered him earlier this season here in the first half, and hasn't played since.
He has not even returned to the playing field, I don't believe, Bob. He's still back in the locker room. Pat Leahy on the sideline, warming up for a possible field goal.
This would be a chip shot for him, but also a moral victory for the Seahawks. They're in danger of losing out to the 30-second clock, but they did manage to get the snap off, but the play goes for naught. At the time that Todd took that snap, just 1 second remained on the 30-second clock. So they got down inside the 10, and a couple of plays go for nothing, and now Leahy will come in for the short one.
Keith Butler, 53 of the Seahawks, did an excellent job in coverage there, and the Seahawks are doing a lot better job of realizing what the Jets are doing than the Jets are able to disguise. They haven't done anything to trick anybody yet.
Pat Ryan to hold at the 16, making it a 26-yard attempt. From this distance, Leahy is 10 of 12 on the year. This one is perfect. He's now 25 of 33 on his field goal attempts for the season, and he has connected on 20 of his last 23 three-pointers.
And missed an extra point today because he slipped on the AstroTurf.
13-9, the Jets to within 4. And if you've just joined us, it isn't really fair to say that that extra point will cost the Jets the ball game, if indeed they come to within 1, because Wilson Alvarez of Seattle missed one after the Seahawks' first touchdown, so it evens up. Well, we have an opportunity here. We want to send along best wishes to John Filippelli, one of our crew at NBC. He wound up in the hospital. A little difficulty for him, but Flip is on the comeback trail, and the folks in Seattle have put best wishes for him up on their scoreboard. We appreciate that. Get well soon, Flip. Get back with us for football, and if not, start of the basketball coverage on NBC. See the game yesterday, Trump? Enberg and McGuire, as UCLA really did a number on Notre Dame.
Saw parts of it. That's always a big rivalry, isn't it? Playing in the Convocation Center there on the campus of South Bend.
Horace Ivory is the deep man, the former Patriot. Obtaining a deal early this season for a couple of future draft choices. Leahy's kick into the end zone. Eric Lane fields it there and decides to stay put with 1:18 remaining. 13-9, the Seahawks by 4. They have 3 timeouts left, Trump. They've also got a very inexperienced quarterback. They're up by 4 points. They have to be satisfied if they go into the locker room at 13-9. So do you go for more or do you run it out?
Absolutely. They're going nowhere this season. And if they can get some experience for the football team, and if they're going to go on a fake punt at their own 12-yard line in the last minute and 18 seconds of the half, I certainly would suspect them to throw the ball all over the place.
And Jack Patera agrees as Craig drops back, swings it out to David Hughes. And the rookie from Boise State gets 6 yards, maybe 7 on the first down play. Clock continues to run, moving down toward a minute.
The New York sack exchange still without a sack today.
Krieg on 2nd and 3. This will be a first down. Hughes makes the catch again. Now the Seahawks ought to use a timeout if they're serious about this.
And they do. 10 yards on the completion.
There's Jack Patera, who has shown no reluctance to take chances. He had Jeff West attempt a fake punt pass to Ken Easley from their own 12-yard line when the score was 6-0 Seahawks. Walt Michaels, a 5-game winning streak in definite jeopardy against a team he has never beaten.
There's Joe Gardy, the defensive coordinator, in the hat, the white hat. Billy Baird, former defensive back for the New York Jets. I imagine Mr. Michaels is very, very upset. They came out to the West Coast a day early, left on Friday so that they could become acclimated to this time zone. And you would expect a better performance of the New York Jets if you're Walt Michaels in the first half of this game so far, Bob.
There is the last remaining active member of the Jets who was on the field at the Orange Bowl for Super Bowl III. One of the great games in pro football history as the Jets announced to everybody that the AFL was for real when they beat the Colts 16-7.
There are even some people who point to that game as the real reason why that there was the AFL and the NFL combined, because of that Super Bowl victory by the New York Jets and Joe Namath and Randy Rasmussen and Boozer and Snell and Sauer and Pete Lamons and Larry Grantham.
Ball at the 38-yard line, 1st and 10 with 43 seconds remaining in the half. Krieg fires to the sideline. McCullum makes the catch, and he's out of bounds in Jet territory at the 44-yard line. Kirk Springs shoved him out.
The Seahawks have just about done what they've wanted to all day long offensively in this first half. 19 yards on that catch. Look at the protection that Krieg gets. I wonder if the New York Jets defense coming into this game thinking, well, Zorn's not playing, this guy can't be too much. And also, before I get too heavy on the New York Jets defense, I don't imagine they've seen Krieg throw the ball 12 or 15 times prior to this game. You don't know how the guy can play. You have no indication whatsoever.
Dave Krieg. No NFL player is from a smaller school enrollment-wise than Krieg from Milton College, where he played under head coach and athletic director Rudy Godini. There's the first sack of the day for the New York Sack Exchange. Gastineau was there, and Kenny Neal helped him, number 77, the 55th New York sack of the year.
Good pressure, Gastineau on Steve August. Kenny Neal is there first, and it's just finally the Jets defensive line able to get to Krieg.
If you want to focus on the magnitude of what Gastineau and Klecko have accomplished individually this year, they're each closing in on 20 sacks for the season. Gastineau had 17.5 before that play, and perhaps he'll get a half sack, so let's put him at 18. Klecko also at 18. Klecko and Gastineau combined have more sacks just between the two of them than 23 other teams combined in the NFL. And besides Klecko and Gastineau, prior to today's game, only one other individual was in double figures in sacks. That's Fred Dean of the 49ers, who had 10.5 before today's game with Cincinnati, and perhaps he added to it at Riverfront Stadium today.
If you give that a half a sack to Gastineau too, then he and Klecko are both 1 sack away from a Jet Club record, which is 19, held by Jerry Philbin. Said, I believe, back in 1968. That was a defensive line that I, unfortunately, that was my rookie season. You talk about a busy day.
2nd and 8.
Playing against Verlin Biggs, Jerry Philbin, John Elliott, Carl McAdams. They can make you change your mind about the professional football.
Seahawks now have 1 timeout remaining. It's 2nd and 18. Back on their 48. Krieg rolls out of trouble, still being chased by Abdul Salam, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Kirk Springs, the nickelback, number 45. Well, now the Jets, with 2 timeouts of their own remaining, could patch together a couple of plays and get within range for Pat Leahy.
Inexperience on Craig's part leads to that interception.
Quick update here from Bryant Gumbel in New York.
Okay, Bob, in San Diego, the Chargers have broken a 14-all tie. The job being done. Dan Fouts to Kellen Winslow. No, he did not step out of bounds. Instead, he goes 67 yards for the score. And with 55 seconds remaining in the first half, it's 21-14 Chargers. Bob?
Okay, Bryant, for Kirk Springs, that was his second interception of the year. Right into his breadbasket.
Krieg had run all the way to the sideline and threw back across the field.
Todd now has it go off the hands of his intended receiver, Derek Gaffney, who tried to make a leaping catch. Stops the clock with 17 seconds remaining. And the ball at the Jet 44, 2nd and 10. (13-9) Seahawks. Craig to McCullum for one score. They missed the extra point. Theodis Brown, a 21-yard run for the other touchdown. They made the PAT that time. Todd with lots of protection, and the pass to Harper. He gets out of bounds after a gain of about 8. 11 seconds left. The Jets have a touchdown pass from Todd to Durking. Leahy slipped, and they missed the point after on that. Leahy later connected on a 26-yard field goal. Bryant Gumbel with all the scores and highlights from around the league coming up at halftime.
Richard Todd now 15 of 27, 134 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception in this first half.
Trying to get it close for Leahy. Durking makes the catch. That'll get them a first down, and they'll have to call a timeout. 4 seconds remaining.
Well, what do you do here?
Well, we're talking about a field goal of nearly 60 yards if they try it now. So
let's give it the hope shot. You got at least one world-class sprinter out there in Lamb Jones. Just give him time to throw it. Hope for interference on the defense or a tipped ball somewhere.
if they had a couple more seconds, they could probably run a quick sideline pattern, get it close enough and out of bounds with 1 or 2 seconds left. But now with 4 seconds, I guess you just have to throw it up.
Yeah, and the quick sideline pass is only going to get you 7 or 8 yards, and I'm not sure that's in Leahy's range. There's Marty Lyons standing next to Pat Leahy.
The longest field goal of Leahy's career, if I'm not mistaken, is a 49-yarder. That's his top figure. Right now, it would be a 59-yarder, which might work if you had Tom Dempsey on the sideline, but won't work for Leahy.
You can see there that close-up of Richard Todd. He's still wearing the flak jacket, still suffering from the cracked rib they got a couple of 3 weeks ago. And I might mention that he has played, not missed a game. Danny White of the Dallas Cowboys been out 2 weeks and questionable for today, so obviously a very high threshold of pain.
Still wearing that hard plastic shield beneath the flak jacket as well. They line up 3 wide receivers on the right. They fire it deep. Well, somebody got a hand on it. Gaffney got a hand on it down there, but no more than that.
Ken Easley just stood there and waited for the ball to come down, which is a no-no for a defensive back. You got to go to the ball.
He could have been a most surprised young fellow if a white shirt came down with it. Watch it again.
Way up in the air, hoping the receivers run under it, but watch Easley 45 just stand there for it. And I believe it's Gaffney that just gets his hands there. Wow.
Halftime score, Seahawks 13, Jets 9.
New Year's Day, NBC Sports kicks off the biggest bowl bonanza ever. First, the Fiesta Bowl, as Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Allen takes on the team that dethroned top-ranked Pittsburgh. Then the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl, as the Washington Huskies battle the University of Iowa Hawkeyes. And finally, it's the battle for the national championship in the Orange Bowl. The Nebraska Cornhuskers go up against the nation's Cinderella #1 team, the undefeated Tigers of Clemson University. All this without ever changing your dial. New Year's Day on NBC Sports.
Well, Dave Krieg is working on a Frank Merriwell story. Under his direction, the 4-9 Seahawks lead the 8-4-1 Jets 13-9 at halftime. NFL 81 halftime activities will continue in a moment. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. This 1981 National Football League game is brought to you by Schlitz, the Master Brewer's Brew. Just one taste and you'll know. Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer. By the new Chrysler Corporation. For 1982, Chrysler has the cars, the quality, and the prices America needs. By Atari, discover how far you can go. And by the National Guard and the Reserves, where you can serve your country while you live at home. And now let's go to NFL 81 and Bryant Gumbel in New York.
Welcome back to our NFL 81 studios in New York. I'm Bryant Gumbel. Since we're aware some of you may have had to break away for local news, let's get you caught up on the events of Sunday 14. Miami beat New England 24-14. Big effort here by Eddie Hill. It put the Dolphins out in front to stay. Broke a 14-all deadlock. Miami goes to 9-4-1. The Patriots suffer their 12th loss of the year. It was a meeting of the powers in Cincinnati. 49ers going against the Bengals. The 49ers won out the final in the ball game 21-3. Meanwhile, out in Washington, Dick Vermeil's club was leading 13-9 in the fourth period. Vermeil wanted a timeout. Ron Jaworski didn't see him. Too bad for the Eagles. Jaworski put it up for grabs, and Monty Coleman stepped in, picked it off at the 48-yard line, ran right by a stunned Ron Jaworski at the 25 and took it in. Redskins a winner, 15-13. The Rams do not have a postseason date. That's news. First time it's happened in 9 years. They are out of the playoffs. They lost their fifth in a row today, lost it to the Giants, the Meadowlands. It was 7-7 when Leon Bright took this punt, ran it back 52 yards inside the Rams' 10-yard line. From there, Joe Danello made good on a field goal. The Giants beat the Rams 10-7. Not the best of days for Bud Grant of the Minnesota Vikings. Bud and the Vikes had some problems. They were leading 7-3 when Bob Avellini went up top and threw a 72-yard touchdown pass to Brian Bashnagel to put the Bears over the top. They beat the Vikings 10-9. And that puts the division that time forgot into a three-way tie, because at 7-7 are the Vikings, the Packers, and the Lions. The Packers made sure of that today by beating the Lions 31-17. Big ball game for Lynn Dickey. He completed 20 of 31 passes for 279 yards and 2 touchdowns. This one to Paul Kaufman. Final again was 31-17. The St. Louis Cardinals are still in playoff contention. They are at 7-7 after beating the New Orleans Saints today 30-3. The Colts have now lost 13 in a row. Dallas beat them 37-13. All those are finals. Games in progress, as you know. Seattle out in front of the Jets 13-9 at the half. San Diego's beating Buffalo 21-14 at the half. Atlanta's out in front of Tampa Bay. Well, now Tampa Bay's out in front 17-16 in the third period, and it's 16-6 Denver in the third. We'll be going back to the Kingdome for a second half of football. Right now it's 13-9, Seattle out in front. We'll get to that second half in Seattle right after we take time out for this commercial break.
Okay, we're back at the Kingdome awaiting the second half kickoff. Bob Costas along with Bob Trumpy. The Seahawks will get the ball, and they have the lead at the end of 30 minutes, 13-9. Leahy to kick off. And this is a more characteristic Leahy kickoff all the way into the end zone, and Horace Ivory decides he'll stay right there.
Bob, some impressive stats for the Seattle Seahawks, their young quarterback. Even though it was his first start, he was 9 of 14 in the first half. He had 2 intercepted, but 1 was right at the end of the first half. That's not a bad performance by the young man from Milton College in Madison, Wisconsin.
You got it. And a look again at the Seahawk lineup as we prepare to start this second half.
Fans here very, very quiet, are they not?
They made plenty of noise during the first half as the Seahawks ran off to that 13-9 lead. Here's Craig. They also have a 5-year veteran named Sam Adkins on their roster, but they decided to go with Craig rather than Adkins. Did he pick that off? Jerry Holmes came up with it. At first glance, it looked as if it had fallen incomplete. And yet Holmes somehow came up with the football. Let's see if we can get a better view of it when we look again.
I believe you'll see him catch this with just one hand. And this ball is poorly thrown by Craig. I think he tries to overthrow it. It kind of dies. I believe he catches that totally with one hand. The ball never made contact with the ground. McCullough was the intended receiver, but nevertheless, the Jets now with great field position, and that's exactly what they needed, something to get some momentum back on their side of the field. Watch this.
What happened was the ball was in McCullum's hand, and Holmes held onto it as he rolled over.
Just took it right away.
Stole it away.
Absolutely.
Kevin Long carries. and gets about 2 on first down. That was the 3rd Jet interception of this game and the first for Holmes this year.
That's exactly what the Jets need, a big play out of someone. You can see questionable as to whether or not it hit the ground, but the official on the other side of that play made the call, and it's Jets ball.
The word from Freeman McNeil, or on Freeman McNeil, he will not return in this ball game. Sprained foot again, same injury as he had earlier. Long bounces off at the line of scrimmage and turns it into about a 3-yard gain. And so Freeman McNeil will not play for the rest of this afternoon.
I don't believe it. He's even come back from the Jet locker room for the second half. He's not on the field anywhere. Jets still struggling though now. Struggling though. 3rd down and 5 now, and they've not been able to really do much in this situation. As you look at the offense, Todd Harper and Newton, Jones, Barkham, and Gaffney. Wesley Walker still in New York, and the offensive line, who have allowed just 1 sack today.
So we'll see more of the likes of Newton and Long in this second half with McNeil sideline. This is 3rd and a long 4 coming up. Todd completes it to Harper. And let's see where they're going to spot this. It looks like a first down, and it will be. A 7-yard gain and another clutch catch for Bruce Harper.
He has been their guy today. That's his 6th catch now so far. And he's got 40 yards, too. Make that 37, excuse me. You'll see that Richard Todd just waits for those wide receivers to go deep, clear out the linebackers and defensive backs. And I would say Harper's probably the 2nd or 3rd receiver. You see 74. Manu Tuiasosopo on coverage on a running back. Rather unusual defense. A defensive end and coverage on a running back.
From the 15-yard line, the Jets trailing 13-9. Looking to go ahead. Over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Durking, who had caught a touchdown pass earlier and ran that pattern over the middle. Todd not happy.
Thrown somewhat behind him, but really thrown as a bullet. Hard one to catch. They need some points here. They've had several opportunities and not gotten much out of it.
Boy, listen to this place, Trump. It's like a tomb here at the start of the second half. There's the defensive line. They still play the standard 4-3, as do the Jets.
2nd and 10, 15.
Second and 10 from the 15-yard line. 13:25 to play in the 3rd quarter. The pitch is back to Durking. Makes a nice move. Breaks tackles. And goes in.
We got to give a couple of big assists. 15 yards on the touchdown run. 1 to Jerome Barkham. And the biggest block by Marvin Powell, number 79. Watch him out in front of Durking. Watch him take on Kenny Easley, number 45. He just steps up underneath. 55, Jackson tries to knock him down without using his arms, which is certainly a mistake, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown. What a turnaround.
So Durking, who had not scored a touchdown this year coming into this game, has scored 2 today, 1 on a reception, this one on a run. Leahy's kick is good, and for the first time in the ball game, the Jets have the lead. The Holmes interception on the Seahawks' first possession set it up. Durking takes it in on a fine 15-yard run, and the score, the Jets 16, the Seahawks 13.
NBC Sports' strongest college basketball season ever. It's the flashy plays, the wild fans in the stands, the changing tides of emotion, and the miracle shots. Catch the school spirit on the home of great college basketball, NBC Sports.
They say this game is a game of inches. Watch how close Durking comes to the sideline on this touchdown run. Watch his right foot right now. Comes down just barely inbounds. And the people here in the Kingdom are watching a television screen in the Kingdom. They thought when he put that foot down on replay that it went out of bounds, but no, he was inbounds. It counts.
The Seahawks trailing for the first time. Eric Lane fields the kick, a step inside the goal line. 15, 20, and not much more than that. The Seahawks have had leads of 6-0, 13-6, then 13-9 at halftime. A week ago, they led Oakland 24-3 and lost.
They also had in that game 6 sacks, a fumble recovered for a touchdown, 2 other fumble recoveries, an interception, and they were leading, did you say 24-3 in the 3rd quarter, and lost.
With the ball at their 21 and trailing 16-13, 13-10 to play. Dave Craig calls the signals. Second man out of the I formation, Theodis Brown, only a yard. Stopped by Stan Blinka and Mark Gastineau.
And boy, is that touchdown quieted this place down. We don't need microphones.
Another sellout crowd at the Kingdome, which is taken for granted here. It's been that way for years. But I doubt that 60,000 plus people can make less noise than this.
Excellent point.
I've heard it louder in church. Krieg drops and hits Mike Tice, who makes his first reception from his tight end spot. Tice is a rookie from Maryland who last year was the Terrapins' starting quarterback. The Seahawks tried him out as an offensive lineman and then decided that he might be better off at tight end. That's quite a variety of positions.
I have to tell you, the more you can do, though, that's what they tell you in the professional ranks. If you can play several different positions. His brother is now the tight end for the Maryland Terrapins.
No, the quarterback, I believe.
No, he was the quarterback.
You're right.
His brother is the tight end. And when they told him that he was going to move to tight end, he called his brother in Maryland during training camp and said, how do I play this spot? What do I do?
You are correct. Mike Tice is 6'7" and 235. Size for a quarterback, a college quarterback at that. Well, that was a third down play, and they needed 4, and Gastineau stops the Otis Brown well short of that, and the Seahawks will have to punt.
Well, whatever Walt Michaels said at halftime, it must have made him an impression on the New York Jets, because they've certainly come out in their second half and played very well so far. Of course, the big turnover, the interception, can change anybody's mind.
Jeff West to punt. The Seahawks have had too many series in this game where it's been 3 downs and punt. Far too many. West with a high, not particularly long kick, which Harper makes a fair catch on at the 37-yard line of the Jets. So that stops the clock with 11:04 to play in the third quarter. The Jets have the 3-point lead and the ball. 36-yard punt by West. No return by Harper. Crowd of just under 65,000, 38th consecutive home sellout for the Seahawks. And they are sitting on their hands right now.
Here's one for you. They have a group of people every time the Seahawks play in Seattle that come down from Alaska. They're great Seahawk boosters, and that's a trip that's about the same distance from Seattle to Chicago.
Well, and perhaps they're too frostbitten to applaud.
Look at
Pass
this.
comes out to Kevin Long, and Long turns this into a first down gain to about the 48-yard line of Seattle. As we pause briefly for station identification, this is the NBC television network.
This is KING-TV, Channel 5, Seattle.
16 yards on the pass and run between Harper and Long. Bob Costas with Bob Trumpy. We've got 10:35 to play in the third quarter, and the Jets have taken their first lead of the game on a 15-yard touchdown run by Scott Dirking following a Jerry Holmes interception. 16-13. Long breaks a tackle at the line of scrimmage and stumbles forward to about the 41 in the grasp of Manu Tuiasosopo.
I don't know what happened at halftime. 6 yards on that carry by Long, but the Seattle Seahawks have suddenly turned south with their defense. It's not controlling the line of scrimmage like they did in the first half, although I do believe the Jets have a lot more at stake, and therefore with some emotion I believe this is a little more what we expected out of the Jets in the first half.
A lot of young talent in that Seahawk defensive corps. 5 number 1 draft choices, 2 number 2s, and a number 3 among their regulars. Long carries again, close to a first down. Let's see where they spot it when everybody unpeels. Keen Barth says first down New York. 9.5 minutes to play in the quarter. In the fourth quarter, Tampa Bay leads Atlanta 17-16. Both those clubs 7-6. One of many alive for a wild card spot, and in the case of Tampa Bay, maybe a division title in the NFC. Kansas City scores and moves to within 3 of Denver in the third quarter at Mile High Stadium. James Hadnot, a 1-yard run with about 2 minutes to play in the third quarter for that Kansas City touchdown. First and 10 from the 37-yard line. Todd pumps once, looks back the other way. Long is wide open, makes a move inside. And inside the 30-yard line he goes before Michael Jackson tackles him.
7 yards on the catch by Long, and Richard Todd now has a great deal of time to throw the football. The steam seems to have gone out of the Seahawk defense. They're not blitzing like they were at the end of the first half. And look at 47 sitting there on the sideline. Got a good shot of the football game.
Sherman Smith. Second down and a long 2.
We can hear Richard Todd call the signals here.
I have seldom heard a stadium this quiet. I know we've mentioned it several times, but it's almost eerie in this place right now. Well, that wakes him up. Keith Butler busts into the backfield.
Finally a blitz, too. That's what they did in the first half, and it really upset the timing of the Jets offense. They went away from that in the opening moments of this second half. There you see Butler. Durking trying to make the block on him, and he's right there with Newton to almost take the ball. Watch Butler. Great timing on the blitz, too. I would suggest that the New York Jets change their snap count, because Butler's done that 2 or 3 times now, and he is reading their snap count. They've got to come with another number, catch him off sides.
They lost 3, and it's third and a long 5. 7:40 to play third quarter. Todd to the sideline, and it's off the hands of Durking and incomplete. So this Jet drive is stymied. A Leahy field goal attempt coming up would be for about 49 yards. Word from the Seahawks sideline. Jacob Green has a thigh injury. Robert Hardy has a hip pointer, so that's half of their defensive front 4 on the sidelines right now, awaiting a further report.
So they have Doug Sutherland and Dennis Boyd in the defense.
Just about a 50-yard attempt for Leahy. Wide to the right and no good. Between 40 and 49 this year prior to this kick, Leahy was 8 of 11. 50 plus, he was 0 for 2. That was just about 50 yards on the nose. So the score remains the Jets 16, the Seahawks 13, with 7.5 minutes to play in the third.
They're the hottest club in the AFC with a league-leading defensive line better known as the New York Sack Exchange. The Jets are smoking, but can the Cleveland Browns burst their bubble? Next Saturday, an NFL special. The Jets battle the Browns on NBC Sports.
And next week's Jet Cleveland telecast starts at 12 noon Eastern time on NBC. Trump?
Watch Leahy's left foot. That more than anything else will determine whether this field goal goes through. It appears that his foot is a little outside. That's a bad placement. Most people think that it comes off the kicking foot wrong, but that's not true. It is normally the placement of that left planting foot that determines whether the ball goes through or not. It was long enough, just a little bit wide, and that's a bad placement of his left foot.
Dave Krieg with a first down pass. Holmes went for the interception, almost got it, but Dorning gathers it in. And Dan Dorning is down at the 41-yard line. They pick up 9.
Taking a chance. That's almost the same play that was intercepted at the beginning of the second half.
Well, if it pays off, he's gone for 6.
You're right.
Dorning had a big game in that Monday night encounter against San Diego a few weeks back.
I wonder if these people in the Kingdom here have had a busy weekend. Out late last night because they seem to have lost their steam. They're kind of sitting here very quietly waiting for something to happen.
Clock running with 6:50 to play in the quarter. Jets lead the Seahawks 16-13. Second down 1. And it's going to be 3rd and 1 coming up as Dorning is upended immediately. Time for an update. Let's check with Byron Day at NFL 81.
Okay, Bob, thank you very much. Out in San Diego, the Bills have just tied it all up. This play preceded the touchdown, a 48-yard strike. Joe Ferguson to Joe Cribbs. That set up a 2-yard touchdown plunge by Roosevelt Leaks. 21 all now in the third quarter. Bob?
Thanks, Byron. It's 3rd down and 1 as we move down towards 6 minutes to play in the third quarter. Tight formation, everybody in close on the line of scrimmage, including wide receiver Sam McCullum closest to you, number 84. They give it to Dorning. He is close to the first down, and it looks like he's got it. He does. Blinka and Salam stopped him, but not soon enough.
Overall, the Seattle offense has played very well, but this second half they really have not come out with any steam. You watch August and Tice. Gastineau a little quick off the ball, kind of takes him out of the play a little bit, and a good block by 78 of the Seattle Seahawks, Bob Newton, on Abdul Salam, and that's just enough of a crack for Dorning to get up there for the first down.
Joe Walton paces the sidelines.
Ooh, Joe Klecko hurt.
Here's Klecko hobbling toward the sideline. We'll come back with a report on him after this. And they're working on the ankle now of Joe Klecko.
He has been held sackless today. He is the NFL leader, along with Gastineau, I believe, both now at 18.
Quite a job that the likes of Newton and August and Essink and Boyd and people like that have done on this Jet front four, protecting the young quarterback, Dave Krieg. Now he goes to the air, whips it out sidearm, and they pick up about 6 on the play as Dornick makes the catch. You know, it looked like it would really be a baptismal under fire for Krieg, and it is to a certain extent, but they have kept the stack exchange off his back as much as could be expected.
You know, at times, though, that might help an offensive line, knowing a young rookie out of Milton College is in there and realizing that they have to play over and above what they normally play. Zorn is a very active quarterback and usually avoid the pass rush. Mr. Klecko.
Twisted ankle is the word, and they expect him back before the game is over. Theodis Brown on 2nd down and 4. He's not going to be able to turn the corner. They drag him down. Mel was there, and Blinka got there too.
Excellent job, too. Watch from the end zone here. This is exactly the way you want your defense to play. To string the play out, use the sideline as best you can, and then hope that the pursuit catches up. Now, from the defense, watch everybody pursue along the line of scrimmage. All 3 linebackers. Blinka, you see Mel out there, and you also see Buttle on the backside. And the first opportunity that Mel has to get up through the blockers, he's there to make the tackle. Both linebackers in on the tackle.
They lost 2. It's 3rd down and 6 from the 47 with 4:35 to play 3rd quarter. Krieg steps up into the pocket, completes his pass. Largent makes the catch, and is he ever belted by Greg Buttle? But Largent is a tough little guy at 5'11 and 184. He's a lot like Pat Tilley of the St. Louis Cardinals in that respect. Little guys who will go over the middle to make the catch and will hold it despite taking a very vicious lick.
He comes from way on the backside of this formation, and that is a fine, fine catch. He's all the way on the other side of the field. Obviously zone coverage by the linebacker. Once he comes across that zone, has the ability to spin around, make the catch, and absorb the blow.
And a 1st down at the Jet 42. Play fake. Swing it out to Theodis Brown. Theodis still on his feet and then out of bounds.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, he had all kinds of running room if he could have stayed in.
You are absolutely correct. Largent had the defensive back way deep, and if he could have stayed inbounds, he could have probably run it into the end zone. Now, the New York Jets, once again, are being lulled to sleep by the Seattle Seahawks. Watch this. Largent just kind of ambling down the sideline. He's got Jesse Johnson right there, and the play is being run behind him, and Jesse Johnson doesn't even know it.
They get 5, and it's 2nd and 5 at the 37 with 3:46 left. Largent to the left and McCullum to the right. Dornick and Brown are the backs.
Come on, Mark!
Krieg flips it out of there to Dornick. Makes a nice move, busts some tackles. He's at the 29-yard line. That's a 1st down and a gain of 8.
Klecko is back in the ball game, and now Mark Gastineau of the Jets is getting up slowly.
One of the Seagulls there along the sideline.
Watch Gastineau on the left side of your screen. He manages to get in right on the quarterback, but somehow sprains his ankle or something, but he appears to be all right. Underneath the linebacker coverage, and then a great job by Dornick, who is a med student. Good reception, good tough running too. Big 1st down.
Exactly 3 minutes on the clock. Again, McCullum right and Largent left. This time the backs in the eye. Largent in motion at the snap. They give the ball to Theodis Brown. Bust straight up the middle. Theodis down to the 10.
Yards on this run, and they're taking advantage of Abdul Salam and Ben Rudolph up through the middle. It's a good man-on-man blocking, and Brown is deep enough in the backfield that he can adjust to the blocking scheme. And then the linebackers, there's no linebacker there to, you see 3 of the 4 Jet defensive backs there to make the tackle, and you don't want that to happen. 1st down and 10 at the 10. And Mr. Michaels is now once again very, very worried about his defense.
The Otis Brown goes out at least briefly, and Sherman Smith comes in to replace him. Craig to Largent, 5-yard line, about the 3 before he's driven out.
Here's one for you. Dave Craig has completed 18 passes now in a row with that completion to Largent. 3 of them for interceptions. But 18 passes
come
in a
on,
row.
Trump. It doesn't go in the record book that way.
Well, they were open, though. Once again, Seattle just able to do almost anything that they want on this drive. And the Jet defense seems to play one drive very well. And the next drive not too good. Largent now just 5 yards from his 4th straight 1,000-yard receiving season.
2nd and goal, the ball outside the 2-yard line. There's Largent in motion. Dornick struggles to the 1 and maybe inside that. They'll be less than a yard away from the touchdown with 3rd down upcoming. They trail it by 3. 1:45 to play 3rd quarter.
And as you look at that picture right there, the Jet defensive linemen and defensive players don't seem to be in control of this game. Watch from the end zone. The blocking scheme of the Seattle offense. Lead block up through there at the Otis Brown. And it appears who did make that tackle? Darrell Ray was part of it.
Ken Schroy, I think, 48.
Ken Schroy in on it also. That's in danger. That record right there, 3 TDs.
3rd and goal inside the 1-yard line. Dornick and Brown are the backs. Craig keeps it. He's there. Touchdown. Was it designed that way, Trump, or did he turn around, see something he didn't like, and just head back?
No, I believe it was a design play. I don't believe there was. It may have been between the center and himself. Nothing more than that. He doesn't look around. I think his #1 intention is just a quarterback draw. Right on Salam 74. Well, and believe me, there are times when a quarterback will just tap the center on the cheek, and only those 2 guys know that it's a quarterback sneak for a touchdown. The extra point. Good.
I believe that somebody got a hand on Wilson Alvarez's kick, but it fluttered through. Alvarez has been a bit less than impressive, but he got the job done that time. And Dave Craig and the Seahawks have the lead.
They're the hottest club in the AFC with a league-leading defensive line better known as the New York Sack Exchange. The Jets are smoking, but can the Cleveland Browns burst their bubble? Next Saturday, an NFL special. The Jets battle the Browns on NBC Sports.
And that Jet-Browns telecast begins at 12 noon Eastern Time next Saturday on NBC. As you can see, Jack Patera on the right, overcome with joy over the Seahawks lead.
6-minute and 26-second drive there by the Seattle Seahawks. Their best drive, obviously, of the afternoon.
Alvarez kicks into the arms of Harper at the 5. Has to battle to get to the 20. The Seahawk kick coverage has been very, very good this afternoon. 14-yard return for Harper.
It is now squarely on the shoulders of the Jet offense to keep the ball for a while. With just 55 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Look at this, 6:27. A quarterback draw or keeper play there. 12 plays, 68 yards.
They are awfully proud in Wisconsin about Dave Craig from Milton College. Actually, Tiny Milton has sent 7 different players to the NFL at one time or another. Durkin carries for good yardage on 1st down. However, Craig, who is now in his 2nd NFL season, has stayed the longest. So no Milton player has really been an NFL star. But to have 7 players from a school which has only 243 boys among their full-time enrollment, as San Diego, riding the seesaw, gets the lead back in their game with Buffalo, and Atlanta reclaims the lead against Tampa Bay. The Denver-Kansas City score stays as it was a while ago. To have 7 players from a school that tiny go to the NFL is quite an accomplishment. Todd to the air on 2nd down, and Durkin can't hold it. Would have been a 1st down if he had.
The New York Jets today have really played without emotion. Seattle's had several opportunities, and that last drive that they had was the best drive they had all day. Well, Michael's got to be very, very upset with his team, knowing that Miami has won, and they stand at 9-4-1. The Jets are in pursuit. There's Joe Walton, also very upset with the performance of his team.
Looks like he's working on a headache down there.
It's a long ride back to New York if you're on the short end of the score.
Gaffney and Bobby Jones both go out to the left side on 3rd down and 4. 14 seconds to play, 3rd quarter. Todd is well protected. His pass is incomplete, again intended for Durkin.
All day long, the Seahawks have kept the New York Jets from throwing the ball to their wide receivers. They have very few receptions. In fact, I believe they only have one. So the running backs all day long have been the big weapon for the New York Jets, and that one was a poorly thrown ball by Richard Todd.
And again, for those who may just be joining us, the Jets are without Wesley Walker. His calf injury left him behind in New York. And you see what Chuck Ramsey has done thus far today. That does not include the one he never got off, as the snap was high and he couldn't handle it. That one is nearly blocked. It's fielded by Paul Johns. Johns to the 45 and about the 47-yard line of the Seahawks. A 38-yard punt by Ramsey, a 9-yard return by Johns. The Seahawks have the lead at 20-16 and the ball, and we have reached the end of the 3rd quarter.
Ken Easley again almost on the block. They have not stopped that outside rusher all day long.
And we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Watch King 5 News tonight at 11.
This is Byron Day in New York. In San Diego, the Bills are down by 3, but they're driving. Joe Ferguson completing this 24-yard pass to Frank Lewis. They're threatening. In the 3rd quarter, they're still behind 24-21 to San Diego.
The condition of that gentleman, Jim Zorn's ankle, has opened the doors for Dave Krieg. And the pride of Milton College has the Seahawks in front and driving again. 20-16. This is the first play of the 4th quarter. The play fake. Steps up. And is dropped by Sam McCullum, but it was a perfectly thrown ball in the midst of several defenders.
First of all, initial observation, Joe Klecko, even though he's out there for the New York Jets, limping badly. Now watch McCullum. This is very, very poor coverage by Jesse Johnson. He gives him too much of a cushion. Now McCullum is a quick receiver, there's no doubt about that, but he gets him turned inside, which is the #1 mistake that you do not want any defensive back to make. And this should have been a reception. The ball is right there, although Johnson has the ability to make up the ground. That should have been a reception. Well thrown by Krieg too. You got to admire this kid, you know, coming from absolutely nowhere.
Well, evidently he learned his lessons well under Coach Rudy Godini at Milton and has continued under Jack Patera and his staff here. Signed as a free agent, made their ball club. Dornick will carry for a loss. They lose 3, 3rd and 13 coming up. Abdul Salam made the play. Let's check with Byron Day in New York.
Bob, in San Diego, we just showed you a pass by Joe Ferguson that put the Bills in scoring position. Now here's the touchdown play. Joe Cribbs running in from a yard out. The Bills regain the lead 28-24 now in the 3rd quarter.
Okay, thanks, Byron. We've got 14:25 to play in this one here from the 45-yard line of the Seahawks. 3rd and 13 coming up. Paul Johns is in as the 3rd wide receiver. Kirk Springs is in as the Jet nickelback. Krieg is in big trouble as he retreats. Theodis Brown with the catch and quickly dumped. They lose 4 on that play.
But you know, he did have good protection. The defensive ends, Gastineau and Klecko, could not get to him. He was giving ground to set up the screen. And watch Klecko. He shows the effects of that bad ankle. He is on Essink right there. There's Gastineau on August. And he's got plenty of time to throw it. That's just a good job by Jesse Johnson diagnosing the play. Punt by Jeff West.
Jeff West meets it. Bruce Harper calls for a fair catch and takes it at the 25-yard line. A 35-yard punt by West. The fair catch by Harper. Jet ball with 13:40 left. And their 5-game winning streak in jeopardy against their nemesis, the Seahawks. Back in the Kingdome, still plenty of time left for the Jets to get back on top and stay on top, but not too soon to ask the question, what is it that these Seahawks have going for them against the Jets?
I think historically the Seattle Seahawks have been a team that are able to lull their opponents almost to sleep, and then they come up with a great play like Steve Largent made just a few minutes ago on that pass reception. They've always been a big play team with Jim Zorn, Largent. When they had Sherman Smith healthy, how many times did you see him catching the ball out of the backfield? And you just, I don't know, you never really get the feeling against Seattle that they're doing anything to you, and all of a sudden you look up at the scoreboard and bam, they got you. This is a fine football team. They're a long way from being a contender each and every year, but they've got the people there with individual talent that can make them a great team. They just got to play together more.
They had those back-to-back 9 and 7 years in 78 and 79, then slumped very badly last year, and this year off to a 4 and 9 start. Todd on second down lays it right into the arms of Johnny Lamb Jones, who is in Seahawk territory at the 43.
See, that's another thing I don't understand. The Seahawks in one series, they're all over the wide receivers. That's just the second catch by a New York Jet wide receiver, 30 yards on that reception by Jones. And in one series, they're outstanding in coverage. In the next series, there's nobody within 5 yards of Jones there. I can't put my finger on what the difference is. Easily on the tackle. First down, Jets.
12 and a half minutes to play in the ball game. Lamb Jones goes out.
First and 10 to 43.
Just one wide receiver. They have two tight ends, Schuler and Barkanen. The lone wide receiver is Gaffney. He's off to the left side. The first down handoff goes to Kevin Long, and Long is slapped down by Kerry Justin, number 26. There's also a flag on the play.
I'm afraid that's going to be on Mickey Schuler. Right into the New York Jets. That is the back judge's #1 responsibility. Watch the tight end, and when he throws the flag that quickly and that distance, it is usually on the tight end.
After a penalty-filled first half, we haven't seen many flags in the second half.
Number 82 offense, holding, still first down.
You called it, Trump. First and 20 as the ball is pushed back to the 47-yard line of New York. 20-16, the Seahawks lead it. 12-12 to play in the game. Bobby and Lamb Jones each out to the left side. Now that's Harper setting up on the right. Todd to the air on first and 20. Swings it out to Long, squirts through his hands like a bar of soap. Second and 20.
And the Jets are conceding that the Seahawks downfield are covering the receivers. I mean, they make no attempt to look down the field whatsoever.
And now it's Tampa Bay's turn to lead in this ball game. Doug Williams to Kevin House. And is Kevin House some young wide receiver? Not too well known on a national level. He catches a 71-yard touchdown pass. That's with 9.5 minutes to play in the game at Tampa Bay. 24-23 the Bucs over the Falcons. Both teams 7-6 coming into that game. As you watch from the end zone on second and 20. Todd, lots of time. Does he have a receiver? He does. Bruce Harper. Harper down to the 35-yard line. And that's going to leave them about 2 yards short of the first down.
Keith Butler, number 53 of the Seahawks, had a busy day all day. He's had a lot of coverage on Bruce Harper. You see there, picks him up right at the line of scrimmage. Todd has the time to throw the ball right over Butler's head. Harper makes the reception, but just a yard or so short of the first down.
They got 18 on the play.
Still, though, Seattle has done a good job in shutting down the wide receivers, the guys that are normally the game breakers so far today.
Doug Sutherland, number 69, is in the ballgame now for the Seahawks. As we mentioned earlier, both Robert Hardy and Jacob Green had been shaken up earlier. Durking didn't get it. Now they're faced with an interesting fourth down decision. What would you do?
They've got to go for it.
There's 11:25 remaining.
Here's Newton sitting on the wing, and once again it appears that the snap count, the New York Jets didn't fool Seattle whatsoever, and Butler is in there. There's a hold on Kerry Justin, number 26, that they didn't call, and it appears the Jets are going to go for the first down on 4th and 1.
Trailing by 4 as we move down to 11 minutes. Green and Hardy both out. Mike White and Doug Sutherland in on the left side of the defensive front four for the Seahawks. Manu Tuiasosopo and Fred Anderson on the right side. The Jets ask for a timeout. They want to talk this play over with 10:56 remaining, and the score: the Seahawks 20 and the Jets 16.
Yeah, but he's saying that the other team asked for a timeout. Richard Todd is saying that the other team asked for a timeout. New York is going to be charged for it. But I believe what he was kind of lobbying with the official there is that he saw somebody on the defensive side call timeout. But the thing is, there are only normally one guy that can call timeout on either side of the line of scrimmage.
The Fiesta Bowl. Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Allen battles Joe Paterno's Penn State defense, followed by the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl, plus a primetime battle for the national championship as undefeated #1 Clemson University goes for its first title ever, New Year's Day.
Walt Michaels feels the same way as Richard Todd does. He thinks that the Seahawks signaled for a timeout. The Jets shouldn't have been charged with one. The officials don't agree. Now it's 4th and a yard and a half. Harper and Long are the backs. They'll throw for it. And they won't get it. Nearly intercepted by Kenny Easley, but he knocked it down, and that's good enough. The Jets are stopped. Easley has not intercepted a pass yet in this, his rookie season, the Seahawks' first-round draft choice, but he has done just about everything else very well.
Seahawks did a very smart thing in that situation. To this point in a football game, you've seen linebacker coverage on those offensive backs out of the backfield. That time, they used the safety in coverage, and Easley is a lot quicker than those linebackers, and he was there to knock the ball away.
Well, the Jets had 4th and a yard and a half. A field goal try would have been a very long one, and even if successful, would have left them down by a point. They could have tried to punt for the coffin corner, but that would have been tough too. They elected to go for it. They were denied. Now Dave Krieg back with 10:51 remaining. Gives the ball to Theodis Brown. Fumble! The Jets have it. Klecko recovered it. Well, in a manner of speaking, the Jets do get their first down.
I think Ron Crosby, number 55 of the Jets, was the guy on the hit. You'll see Crosby come from the outside. No, I take that back. I think it's Lance Mel, 56. But anyway, they recovered by Klecko, and you're right. First down, New York Jets. And I still can't believe how quiet the Kingdome is. Amazing.
Bobby Jones goes out wide to the left. Johnny Lamb Jones in the slot inside of it. Tom Newton for about 5 straight ahead to the 30. Clock running with 10:35 remaining. Fred Anderson and Ken Easley combining on the tackle. And here's a look at what remains for the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Bills. The Jets seem to have the easier schedule. Miami still has to play Kansas City and finish with Buffalo. Buffalo has New England left, but a tough game with Miami. Each of the remaining games for the Bills are on the road. They're battling right now at San Diego, and that one is by no means a sure victory for the Bills.
69, Doug Sutherland made that play. He disrupted the timing of the offense. He was right on Dan Alexander, made penetration across the line of scrimmage. Of course, he was with Minnesota at the same time Jack Patera was. Good, experienced defensive lineman.
Patera coached the original fearsome foursome, Lundy and Greer and Jones and Olsen. Also the Purple People Eaters later in the late 60s and early 70s. Page, Eller, Marshall, and Larson at Minnesota. Movement along the line. We get flags. Might be a free play for the Jets. Todd's pass deflected into the arms of Barkham. Barkham is down to the 1-yard line. But let's see what the penalty is.
The penalty is Fred Anderson, 63, offsides, stepped into the neutral zone.
Defense offside. Penalty refused.
Play will count. Last year, you realized that would not have been a reception. It couldn't tip from the hands of one offensive player to another offensive player. Now it does. 30 yards on the pass, tip. Well, I think it was hit by defensive man. And the
I believe
catch.
Harris touched it, Trump.
Jerome Barkham down to the 1-yard line. How about that? There you see Anderson jump off sides. That means it's a free play. And Barkham all the way. I don't think this is the way they drew the play up. But nevertheless, they will certainly take it. First and goal at the 1. With
9:25 to play in the game, and the Jets trailing by 4. They need a victory to stay even with Miami atop the AFC East. Todd's going to throw on first down. Touchdown. Kevin Long makes the catch. Surprising call, but it works.
Now the Kingdom is really quiet.
Some hard feelings down there along the line of scrimmage as well.
You got to feel that if the New York Jets get out of here with a victory to keep pace with the Miami Dolphins, they will breathe a big sigh of relief. Watch these two guys on the outside. You know what their job is? To screen defensive players, which if they get caught is illegal.
For Kevin Long, his 4th touchdown of the year. 1 running, 3 receiving.
The always exciting extra point here in the Kingdom.
Perfect by Leahy this time. 9:21 remaining in the 4th quarter at the Kingdom in Seattle. Watch it again as Todd hits Long for the go-ahead touchdown and the score. The Jets 23, the Seahawks 20.
They're the hottest club in the AFC with a league-leading defensive line better known as the New York Sack Exchange. The Jets are smoking, but can the Cleveland Browns burst their bubble? Next Saturday, an NFL special. The Jets battle the Browns on NBC Sports.
And the New York-Cleveland telecast begins next Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Time on NBC, and that will be the lone announcer game. Dick Enberg will work that one solo. Another interesting experiment. After thinking about it, Eric Lane decides to bring it out and justifies the move by getting a few yards across the 20-yard line. Well, that's interesting. 1 announcer on the game. Last year, when they had the no announcer game, at the end of the year between the Jets and the Dolphins, both play-by-play men and color men were concerned. This year, the play-by-play men feel fine because Enberg will be in the booth. But Trump, how do the color men feel?
Doesn't bother me in the least. Next year, I fully expect to have them with an experiment with 3 guys in the booth, then 4, then 5, then without the executive producer. I mean, we'll just go on down the line until we find a happy medium, right? A combination that everyone likes.
1st and 10 at the 23. Certainly hope you're still here. Craig drops back, looks, throws. Largent makes yet another catch. Largent at the 43-yard line.
I believe for sure he's now over 1,000 yards for the 4th straight season, and 19 yards on that catch. I believe it's his 5th on the day, and it's absolutely amazing. 1,014 yards now. Look at the precision of this pattern. Goes down there. Oh, he beats Jesse Johnson badly. Ball is well thrown too by Craig. Nothing wrong with throwing that ball like that. And Seattle has that capacity. You know, they just kind of dink around, and bam, big play by Largent.
8.5 left. Seahawks trail by 3. Craig with time. Airs one out long for Largent. He's got it! Touchdown, Seattle!
For Steve Largent on the day, 161 yards, make that 171 yards, and this ball is on the money by Dave Craig. I mean, laces up on the right foot. Steve Largent, that was special delivery.
For Largent, his 7th touchdown reception, his 8th touchdown overall on the season. 57 big yards. Alvarez for the point after, which has been an adventure all day. This is his best effort, splits the uprights perfectly.
So Craig throws 2 touchdowns, runs for 1, has 3 interceptions. Not a bad day in his first start ever.
Seahawks 27. And the Jets 23, and they even got a smile out of Jack Patera on the sideline. With 8:21 remaining, we'll come back to Seattle right after this. Well, the Seagulls and everybody else among the better than 60,000 here have good reason to cheer now. 27-23, Seattle up, and Alvarez boots. A short kick, which Harper fields at the 15, 20, 25, and not quite to the 30. Largent's reception yardage today, we're told, represents a career high. Officially, he has caught 7 for 169 yards and a touchdown. Dave Krieg has thrown for 252 yards. And earlier in the game, I speculated that he might not quite have the zip on the ball that some other quarterbacks do. Upon reflection and upon further evidence, I am forced to retract that statement.
I'll tell you what, though, the impressive part of that pass was the finesse in which he used to get the ball right on the money to Steve Largent.
Richard Todd, coincidentally, has thrown for exactly the same total of yards, 252, as Krieg. Here's Todd rolling out, falling down. Hard to tell, incomplete. Bobby Jones spikes the ball right in front of the watchful eye of the official, who does not hit him with the unsportsmanlike conduct flag.
If he had caught that ball and spiked it, it would have been a delay of game.
Well, it's okay to be happy. Not okay to be happy in that instance, but okay in this case to be displeased.
Say what?
Forget it. I'm sorry I ever brought it up.
2nd and 10.
8:08 left from the 29-yard line of the Jets.
I'm sure Jim Zorn, sitting up here in the booth watching this football game, is wondering about his injury now with the performance of Mr. Krieg.
Richard Todd with his club down by 4 has it dropped by Kevin Long. 3rd and 10.
Bob, I got to tell you, I believe emotionally the New York Jets are just about spent. They just show no real. Watch this. This is on the money. Should have been caught. No reason for that ball to be dropped. When it goes bad for everybody.
Derek Gaffney checks in with the play from the sideline.
How many times over the last few years have you seen Seattle, though, come up with a big play like that? They have historically been one of the best big play teams there is in the NFL.
The Chargers, the Broncos, the Steelers, and the Jets, contenders all among their victims this year. Todd got his first down with the catch made by Johnny Lamb Jones.
Interesting, too. That must have been a busted play because Derek Gaffney was standing about 4 yards in front of Lamb Jones. 19 yards on that catch. Plenty of time to throw the football. Good protection up front. And watch Gaffney jump up. And if he'd made contact with it, wouldn't have been a reception. And Jones there to make the catch easily on the tackle.
Lamb Jones has had a big day in the absence of the injured Wesley Walker. The Jets are also riddled by injuries in their secondary. Jackson on injured reserve. Dykes and Lynn out of the lineup today. Dave Krieg has riddled them for 252. Todd fires long. Intercepted by Dave Brown.
Mike White got in the face of Richard Todd, and Todd really couldn't follow through on the throw. The ball was somewhat underthrown. Dave Brown there to make the interception. Watch Mike White, number 70, just get there just in enough time so that Richard Todd really can't follow through. And if he can't follow through, it takes some of the steam off the football. And the responsibility of the receiver is to try to make sure it's not an interception. Jones tries, but it's an excellent job by Dave Brown to hang on to the football. Not much of a move, just a fly pattern. And the interception. Seattle's ball once again. Here we go.
Well, with 7:10 left, if Dave Krieg can engineer a time-consuming drive here, he would really put the Jets' backs up against the wall. His club leads by 4. Krieg rolls to the left on a naked bootleg. 30, 35, across the 40. Sam McCullum was the only guy out in front of him. And he threw an excellent block to key a 28-yard run.
Well, you got to admire this kid. First start, he doesn't appear to be nervous about it at all. He obviously fakes out Joe Klecko. Good fake by Theodis Brown. And then it's a foot race. 3 rushes now, 35 yards for Krieg. 1 touchdown and 2 thrown. That's not a bad beginning for a young man's career. I don't care how big the college was that he came from.
From the 46-yard line of the Seahawks with 7:01 left. And Sherman Smith carries to midfield. A gain of 4. It'll be 2nd and 6. 6:50 and the clock running. The Seahawks have all 3 of their timeouts left. The Jets had to use one, which they disputed. They didn't think they actually had called it, but they did earlier in this 4th quarter, so they now have 2 timeouts left. Buffalo now regaining the lead 28-27 in the 4th quarter at San Diego. Obviously a crucial game for both those clubs. 6:20 left. Smith again for about 3. Leave them with 3rd and 3. Miami beat New England. And what does that leave New England at? 2-12, something like that. Beat them earlier. 2-12, that's right. 9-4-1 for the Dolphins, of more importance to the Jets. So they have to win here today, the Jets do, to stay even with Miami.
Give you an idea of just how good Mr. Krieg has been today. After his last interception, he's completed 10 straight passes. That's amazing. And he's just a rookie. The backup quarterback for 5 years for Jim Zorn has been Sam Adkins. And Jack Patera chooses Dave Krieg. First down.
Sherman Smith battling for first down yardage.
The Seahawks all day long have absolutely neutralized the New York Sack Exchange, kept out of that situation where Gastineau, Klecko, Abdul Salam, and the rest of those people can just pin their ears back. And it appears right now that the Jets have no idea what the Seattle offense is going to do. And if you can put a split second of indecision as you look at that final score, Denver over Kansas City 16-13. If you can put a split second of indecision in a defensive lineman's mind, you've won the battle at the line of scrimmage, because they don't know what you're going to do next. Hands on hips, wondering what's going to happen now.
Denver in good shape now in that AFC West. They'd be in even better shape if Buffalo holds on to beat San Diego. First down carry again by Sherman Smith. Ron Crosby was among the tacklers. They get about 2 2nd and 8 coming up at the 40, but the clock is still moving. 4:28 remaining. The Jets have never beaten the Seahawks. They are 0-5 against them in their history. They have never come any closer to them than a touchdown in those 5 losses. They were beaten 19-3 at Shea Stadium earlier this year by the Seahawks. The only loss for the Jets in their last 10 games. Since that game, they have won 5 in a row and look like, along with Cincinnati, the hottest club in the league. Cincinnati lost today to San Francisco. Does the same fate await the Jets? We'll know in a while. Krieg is in big trouble. He evades the sack. He throws on the run. And McCollum makes the catch. What in the name of Frank Merriwell is this kid up to?
Well, I tell you one thing. He's obviously having a very good time. And when you can play and it's fun for you, you'd be surprised some of the performances that guys that you don't expect to come out there and be such brilliant performers. How about that? Isn't that something? Watch Gastineau, 99. This is the price that the quarterback must pay eventually. Gets him on the ground, but nevertheless, 1st and 10, the Seattle Seahawks trying to extend their lead now over the New York Jets.
27-23 with 3:08 left. Flag flies as Sherman Smith stutter steps his way for a yard or 2. We'll come back and sort out the penalty in a minute, but first here's Byron Day in New York.
Bob, in Denver, there were 4 seconds left when Nick Lowry lined up to try a 57-yard field goal to tie the ball game up. It was wide to the right. They lost the ball game. Denver on top 16-13. Bob?
Well, Nick Lowry, Trump, is the kind of guy who could possibly hit one from as far away as 57.
Bob, there is someone down.
Offense, still first down.
There is someone down on the Jet sideline, and it appears that I can't tell who it is.
Our view is shielded. It's right about at the 45-yard line of the Jets.
He appears to be totally out, too, whoever the player is.
We'll try and find out who it is, but as you can see, we are shielded. The Jets lost 5 on the last penalty call, pushing them, rather the Seahawks did, pushing them back to the 33-yard line where it's 1st and 15. Lance Mell is the Jet player who is down and being looked at along the sideline. A 4-yard gain for Sherman Smith on that carry, stopped by Stan Blinken. word we received from New York is that immediately after this ball game is over at the Kingdome, we'll switch you to San Diego for the conclusion of the Bills-Chargers game. So don't go anywhere once this one is over. Clock is running. 2:27 left. 2nd and 12. Sherman Smith again. Now 3rd and long coming up. We'll get the 2-minute warning before the next snap, and the Jets have 2 timeouts remaining. So if they can stop the Seahawks on the next play, they will have the ball back somewhere, somehow, with a little bit less than 2 minutes to either win it or tie it. 2-minute warning, and we'll come back right after this.
Alcoa presents Fantastic Finishes. 1979, Metropolitan Stadium, Bloomington, Minnesota. In overtime, Tommy Kramer unloads the ball. Ahmad Rashad makes a spectacular leaping catch and steals the pass away from Green Bay. He turns on the speed, straight arms, and gallops his way to a 27-21 victory over the Packers on the game's final play.
All right, the Jets trail by 4 with 2 minutes remaining. 3rd and 9 coming up for the Seahawks at the New York 27. If they stop the Seahawks here, they have the possibility of getting the ball back with a chance to win it with a touchdown. If Wilson Alvarez can connect on a field goal, they would still have a chance to tie. They would be down by 7 when they got possession back. Alvarez, quite frankly, has not been the most effective place kicker in the world since rejoining the Seahawks after the Herrera injury. He is 1 of 3 on field goal attempts, and the only one he made was about 25 yards. 3rd down 9, biggest play of the day. Theodis Brown carries and is stopped. Now the Jets evidently are going to take a timeout, and they are. That will leave them with 1.
Bob, 2 possibilities here. 1, the way this football game has gone for the Seahawks, I would fully expect if the Seahawks do kick the field goal that Alvarez would probably make it. That would be the fitting conclusion of this game with the beginning of Mr. Krieg. Secondly, though, with Jack Patera on the sideline for the Seahawks, you can never tell what they're going to do on special teams. This is always seems to be their best position. They throw passes off this. They run guys in motion. And if Jack Patera has enough confidence in his defense to hold New York, he may try something funny.
But what about the possibility of just simply going for it on 4th and 7?
With the Jets with 1 timeout left, not a bad idea.
Let's pause briefly for station identification while they talk it over on the NBC television network.
This is KING-TV, Channel 5, Seattle.
We'd like to welcome those viewers who have just joined us. The Jets-Seahawks ball game still in progress with the score Seattle 27 and the Jets 23. We are going to go to the conclusion of the Buffalo-San Diego game after this one is over with at the Kingdome in Seattle.
They are still administering to Lance Mel on the sideline down there on the Jets sideline there. They're taking him off on a stretcher. Let's see what happens here, Mr. Alvarez.
Could be a 43-yarder if they kick it. Largent holding at the 33. They kick it away, and it's blocked. The ball is loose. The Jets are going to have it. The ball's still squirting around. Alvarez winds up with it, which is the last thing he had in mind. And fearing for his life, he's dragged down. Mark Gastineau, I believe, is the guy who blocked it. So the Jets are very much alive. They have only 1 timeout remaining, but they do have 1 minute and 42 seconds to work with.
This young man has had trouble all day kicking it. You'll see Gastineau make penetration right between the outside man on the line of scrimmage and the tackle. And he is in there. You can't blame that on Alvarez. Lance Mel still on the sideline. They're now trying to get him on a stretcher. He has a neck collar on. We will try to get you any information on the well-being of one Lance Mel as soon as we can.
The ball is spotted at the Jet 31. And dual concerns for the Jets. The health of Mel and this drive.
Oh.
Todd is hit by Manu Tuiasosopo, and it's an incomplete pass.
Great pass rush by Manu Tuiasosopo from the outside. And the Seahawks are in this game to win. They are not about to lie down in front of the big bad 8-4-1 New York Jets. And the Jets have not played well from the first whistle to this point. There you see Manu Tuiasosopo coming around.
For those of you who may have just joined us, Jim Zorn, the regular quarterback for the Seahawks, a man who has engineered many upset victories himself, broke an ankle a week ago against Oakland. He's out for the year. Dave Krieg from Milton College, an NCAA Division III team. Todd firing long. He wants Lamb Jones. Kerry Justin on the coverage. He had him all the way, and he got a hand on it. It's going to be 3rd and 10 coming up. Dave Krieg from Milton College, enrollment 300, has stepped in as the starting quarterback. He has thrown a couple of touchdown passes. He has run for another score. And in something out of a storybook, he has the Seahawks in front, 27-23 with 1:31 left. And there goes Lance Mel.
Neck collar on. We'll try to get you an update. You know, going into this game, nobody had heard of Milton College, I would imagine. Going out of this game, everyone will know about Milton College.
Todd is 25 for 46 for 271. Lots of time. And a receiver. Bobby Jones makes the catch, and let's see where they're going to spot it. When he first latched onto it, he had the first down. Then he was pushed backward. And they're going to be left with 4th and about 1.
He did get out of bounds, though, so it stops the clock. And Todd has got a man open down here, but he doesn't want to throw it to him because that guy's only 4 yards deep. Good call by the official. 4th down and 1. Comes down to this.
They keep it on the ground. They get the first down. Big hole opens up for Durking. He is into Seahawk territory before Fred Anderson and Ken Easley stop him, and John Harris was also there. Now they start the clock again. Jets have 1 timeout left. Todd over the middle, incomplete, over the head of Barkham.
He is the guy I believe that he'll look for. Richard Todd will look for Jerome Barkham. He's the heady receiver out there. Been in the game for an awful long time. Now he'll call 2 plays. And it's the purpose of the offense to fight the clock, get the ball, don't fight for inches, save seconds. And the defense, of course, they want to make tackles to keep the guy inbounds so they can use the clock as another player.
A couple of weeks ago at Shea, you were in the broadcast booth, Trump, when Richard Todd pulled off a miracle even greater than this one would be.
70 yards he went in about 2 minutes and 13 seconds with a 16-yard touchdown pass to Jerome Barkham to beat Miami 16-15.
This pass is caught by Bruce Harper, who battles for the sideline and gets there. It's a gain of 5 or 6. Call it 6 yards. 3rd and 4 upcoming. 57 seconds left. Walt Michaels pawing at the turf. 5-game winning streak, and more importantly, a share of first place in the AFC East on the line.
This could be the season right here for the New York Jets.
Third down, Todd. Harper can't hold it. They'll be faced with 4th down again.
That was a great job by Keith Butler. He kept pace with Bruce Harper, but what he did was he got directly between Richard Todd and Bruce Harper, and if Todd was going to complete the pass, he had to throw it over Keith Butler, and that's almost a real impossibility. Watch this coverage. He gets right behind Bruce Harper. That's a great job by Butler in that particular situation.
The word from the locker room on Lance Mel, a sprained neck, which is a painful injury, but not quite as bad as one might have suspected looking at him on the sideline. 4th down and 4. Broken up by Michael Jackson. It's all but over. 6 in a row. Barkham was the target. Jackson, the 3rd-year man from Washington, broke it up. And the Seahawks spell continues over the New York Jets. This is going to be 6 in a row, barring some kind of miracle. 6-0 for the Seahawks against the Jets. And coming in today, no matter what Buffalo and Miami did in their remaining games, the Jets had their destiny in their own hands. If they won against the Seahawks, the Browns and the Packers, no matter what anybody else did, they were in as champions of the AFC East. If this score holds up, the Jets are going to need some help somewhere.
The Jets' winning streak started after the last loss to the Seattle Seahawks Obviously, their chances for the playoffs may end with the Seahawks today.
Jets have one timeout left, and they use it with 44 seconds remaining. Dave Krieg.
What a debut.
Whew.
Now every pro scout in the world will be looking for quarterbacks from Milton College in Madison, Wisconsin. He's done an excellent job for his first start. He's thrown like he's been out there for 6 or 8 years.
It's update time. Let's check with Bryant Gumbel in New York.
Okay, Bob, well, you've got a play stoppage, a couple of highlights from games earlier today. Out at the Orange Bowl, the Miami Dolphins took what now appears to be sole command of first place in the AFC East. They beat the Patriots 24-14. This was the winning score from Eddie Hill. Terrific effort. Final was 24-14. There was a meeting of 10-3 powers in Cincinnati. There were the 49ers and Bengals. The 49ers are now 11-3. This after beating the Bengals. Final 21-3. Let's go back to the Kingdom. Costas and Trumpy.
Thanks, Bryant. And while we were away, Dave Krieg merely took a snap and fell on the ball again. Now the Jets cannot stop it. And they don't even have to snap it again, and they won't.
Dave Krieg in his debut, 20 of 25, 264 yards, 3 interceptions, 2 touchdown passes, 3 rushes for 35 yards, and 1 rushing TD. Not a bad day.
The Seahawks are 5-9. The Jets fall to 8, 5-1 on the season, and a game back of the Dolphins in the AFC East, and who knows where Buffalo will be after their game is concluded against San Diego. Richard Todd, 26 of 50, 280 yards, a couple intercepted, and a couple for touchdowns.